Hey guys, it's your favorite realtor and investment property strategist, Adele Forbes with eXp Realty with the Forbes Report. Today we're discussing the fourth quarter housing market for 2021. In this issue, we're going to review the current year in housing, take a look at last year's stats as well as recent years. We're also going to break down where we are right now, most importantly, where we're headed in 2022 and beyond. To start, I would like to share with you a quote from Ivy Zelman, who says that closings are set to decline roughly 10% year over year in the second half of 2021, and home price appreciation is on the cusp of flipping to a decelerating trend. Now, let's focus on the second half of that sentence for a moment. You will notice that it is highlighted, and I quote, home price appreciation is on the cusp of flipping to a decelerating trend. What does this all mean? We'll take a deeper dive on the next slide. Before we dissect that, let's take a look at price appreciation year over year for the second half of 2021. Nationally, we are still seeing strong home prices due to low inventory and high buyer demand. You will notice that here in Georgia, we've seen an overall price appreciation of 16.7%. Here we can see what those numbers are further broken down. And you will notice that the year over year, we can see that the entire United States had an average home price appreciation of 24.2%. And then you will notice what those numbers are region by region as they're further broken down. On this particular slide, we get a bit more granular, and we can see the various numbers reported from the different housing agencies. And you will note that the Federal Housing Finance Agency reported a home price appreciation of 19.2%. CoreLogic reported 18%. And the S&P Case-Shiller reported a home price appreciation of 19.7%. Now, so far, I've thrown a bunch of numbers at you. What do all these numbers mean? And in theory, just wanted to kind of review what's been going on over last year and the year before in terms of home prices. And so the previous slides showed that we've had a pretty good rate of home price appreciation, not just here in the Atlanta area, but all over the United States. With that said, as we settle into the fourth quarter of 2021 and head into 2022, just wanted to track where housing trends are and what's going on with home price appreciation. You will notice here, now here is where we can reference Ivy Zelman's quote regarding home price deceleration. Now let's be clear that it's a deceleration and not a decrease. So I think it's important to note the difference between the two and make mention that we will see a home price appreciation deceleration, which means that homes or home values will continue to appreciate just at a more moderate pace. So last year, I just gave you those breakdowns from the various housing agencies, which was just slightly under average home price appreciation of 20%. This chart shows you where we are currently as we settle into the fourth quarter of 2021, and you will notice that the overall home price appreciation is 11.74%. Keep in mind that these are national numbers, and so if you want the numbers for your local area or for your neighborhood, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and I can get those to you. But here is a look at the average home price appreciation rate. As mentioned, 2021, we're currently around just under 12%. And here is what is being forecast to where we will taper off as we head into 2022 and through 2025. So home prices will still appreciate just at a more moderate rate. And that is what Ivy Zelman was alluded to when she made that quote. As we transition from last year to this year and review the numbers between 2020 and through the remainder of 2021, experts are saying that it will be a bit of a challenge to really depict what home sales will look like as we close out 2021. And why they are making this statement is because 2020 was not a normal year. So if we're looking at 2020 numbers and trying to determine where home prices are trending, that is a bit of a challenge to do. Last year was an anomaly due to the health crisis. And on this chart, you will notice, if you take a look at the orange marker, that depicts 2020, and the aqua marker represents 2019. And of course, the green will be representative of this current year, 2021. But take a look at what happened to home sales in May. You will notice that it took a very significant dip and really slowed down. And that's understandable due to the fact that we were all really settled into lockdown. So lockdown mode was in full effect and home sales slowed. I know here in the Atlanta area, things slowed down, but transactions were still happening. I was still taking listings and we were still having closings, although they were being done remotely. But having a look at the orange marker, you will notice that home sales did take a very significant dip in May. And you will notice that between June and July, well into August and beyond, home sales increased and the pace picked up again. However, I'm saying all this to say experts are referencing that it's going to be a challenge to depict or to forecast where we will land in regard to home sales as we close out 2021. This chart shows us 2019 in comparison to 2020. So 2019 was the last normal year in real estate before the health crisis. So this chart compares where those numbers were in 2019 and compares to 2020. And as mentioned, 2019 was the last normal year in housing before the health crisis set in. And this chart just shows that comparison. So in order to make a forecast or to look 1 year or 2 years back and try to determine where we're going to land, housing experts are having a bit of a challenge trying to decipher where they think those numbers will end up. This particular chart compares existing home sales for the last normal year, which was 2019, and the previous years. This is just to give you an idea of how we were doing in the housing market in 2019 before we were hit with that health crisis. And actually, we are beating 2019 numbers, so that's pretty good. I'm going to switch gears a bit and talk about mortgage rates. This is something that we can't ignore when discussing home sales or when discussing the housing market. At the beginning of September, interest rates rose to just over 3%. So we had a slight increase for a 30-year fixed mortgage. This chart is going to show you the mortgage rate projections as we close out the fourth quarter of 2021 and head into 2022. And also this shows into what's being reported for the third quarter of 2022 as well in regard to mortgage rate projections. So as mentioned, we recently had a slight increase the first week of September, and these numbers show you that by mid-2022, interest rates are forecast to be at 3.5%, which means that if you wait to buy a home, it will cost you more than if you were to purchase between now and the first part of 2022, with interest rates increasing and home prices still being moderately competitive. So we will still be in a seller's market as we are currently. As mentioned, home prices will still appreciate, however, not at the same rate at which it did in 2020. So with all that said, I guess this gives you a peek into what's coming, therefore you can plan accordingly. To summarize, we are still very much in a seller's market as we enter the fourth quarter of 2021. Also, home prices will continue to rise throughout the remainder of the year and well into 2022. With that said, experts are reporting that we will see the rate at which home prices appreciate taper off. Right now, we're around 11%, and next year, that rate is going to be cut in half. So home prices will still appreciate, however, it will be between 5 and 6% as opposed to around 11% of where we are right now. In reference to interest rates rose to just over 3% the first week of September, and mid-2022, it's being forecast that interest rates will climb to around 3.5%, which means that it will cost you more to buy a home if you wait until next year. As always, it is my goal to provide clarity around what's really going on in the housing market, and the information that I share with you is sourced from industry experts. If you would like a full copy of this report, please don't hesitate to contact me. My contact information is provided below as well as within the slides of this video. That's all for now. Until next time, take good care.